Hello and welcome to the iRacing Formula Renault 3.5 Championship broadcasted by Apex Racing TV. My name is Sam Fitzpatrick and alongside me this evening is Lee Thompson in the commentary box with Sam Kume on the cameras. We're here at the beautiful Silverstone circuit, one of the classics in the world. We're very happy to be here for week 2 of this championship. And Lee, first time we broadcasted this series last week at Barcelona. It's another relatively up-to-date circuit here. This plays really a classic amongst all types of different categories, of course F1, WEC, but I think these kind of junior categories as well really do very well around this place. Wide circuit, lots of fast-flowing corners, and this Renault 3.5 car can really stretch its legs around this place.
Yeah, absolutely. Of course, this is week 3, so yeah, we did Monza for week 1 as well, which is a cracking race. So here, maybe it wasn't quite such the epic event for last week, but yeah, it's a great series to be broadcasting. I had a lot of fun when I last saw these cars out and about, close, competitive, lots of action. Hopefully, it'll be the same again with the top split of the night.
Yes, definitely. 2 splits tonight. And we are broadcasting the top one, of course. So, of course, you want to be on this broadcast for future weeks. You should be broadcasting the entire season. So, get your iRating up, and then you'll hear your lovely names be pronounced by our lovely voices in the future, of course. Just on board with Andreas Nielsen currently, just going through the Maggotts, Beckett's and Chapel section, of course, just running a little bit wide. Pretty easy to pick up 1x, and of course if they do pick up a 1x in this qualifying session, that lap time will be invalidated, and that can certainly set you back quite a bit. In fact, he's only got 20 seconds to get around this track. Usually should have about a minute to spare, maybe a minute and a half to spare to set your 2 laps, but he's left this one right to the limit, so not only does he need to go fast to gain some place on the grid, he needs to go fast just to get in a lap time. He has already got a banker in, he should just about approach the line. I mean, he literally did that by about 1 second, so congratulations to Andres. And just to prove that point, the cars disappear, and they are lining up on the grid right now. So the grid for this race, 22-lap race, is going to be Tim De La Salle on pole position, really close to him, 0.2 of a second to Christoph Herbenot. And then behind that is Jose Plagios Langer, Suelo Almeida, Fabian Siegmann, Lubomir Moritz, Rinaldo Augusta, Thomas Knoll, Simone Pizzica, Rob Bohr, Omar Baha, Yone Kahan, Edward Samborski, Andreas Nelson, Pete Tinkler, Luke Groom, Victor Morhon, Cedric Bile, Jan Brezina and Ashley Kendall. 20 cars out here, which is a good field for a single-seat class.
And just before the lights go green, perhaps Samuli can very quickly bring up the current championship standings for us. I think we're just going to have time to do that. Hopefully have a quick glance before the race starts, so we can see Jose Langer at the top, 748 points, nearly 100 points ahead of Tim DeLisle there, who we see in pole position here tonight. And Matti Spiller in 3rd position. So looking fairly spread out between the top 3, and then it really closes up from 7th down. Interesting to see what this strength field race does to that championship points.
Yes, absolutely. This is one of the highest strength of fields for the entire week, so crucial that you pick up some points here. Just about 20 seconds to go for just to grid up before we'll pop off anyway. Can't wait forever. Can't believe we've got Andreas Nelson just waiting to get onto the grid.
So leaving everything to the last minute then.
Yes. And I mean, this would be spectacular if he could get onto the grid, but it looks as though there's a vacant slot on the grid, so he will not make it. So, 22 laps then round this Silverstone course, and we are away. Fantastic start for De La Salle. He should be able to hold off going into turn 1, having to put his car into the middle of the track, and he just about falls ahead as they swarm through the first couple of corners. Couple of drivers running wide, but it all seems pretty nice so far, with De La Salle on pole out in the lead, and Christoph in 2nd position. A couple of drivers going side by side through the first couple of hairpins. but all going back into Singapore. No changes amongst the top 7. Good start for Pizica to move up a place. Also good start for Keishan, gaining 2 places. Side by side, I believe, for second places. Langer moves up 1 place. He's just got ahead. So very nice move there from the car number 2.
Yeah, absolutely. Like a pretty clean start all round. Don't see any big movers showing that was an incident or any contact in the opening sequence of corners there. So that was good to see. Hone Kojin is up 3 spots from his grid position, as is Victor Morgan. So those 2 have done a good job. But otherwise, yeah, no big dramas looks like for the opening half as they work their way through Magus Beckett's.
Yeah, such change of direction through this part of the circuit. Of course, heavier fuel for these drivers, but at the same time, we've got plenty of life in those tyres still. Siegmund trying to close the gap now to the driver ahead. He's right in the slipstream. Almeida had to go defensive into Stowe. And he should have the better line, but there's so many different overtaking opportunities around this place. If you defend into one corner, you're going to be vulnerable into the next. But Almeida positioning his car just right, losing a little bit of time though to the drivers ahead currently. So 1 lap in the books, and it's De La Salle in the lead already. And with a 1 second gap at the moment, still going side by side of these 2. Siegmund really desperate to get the move done on Almeida. A little bit of a lock-up for 1, the driver's just ahead as well. But right now, just no way past. And of course, you will make this move in the early stages. Otherwise, it's wrong. Could get a little bit more affected by the turbulent.
Yeah, absolutely. So now is the time the guys want to be making those moves. As you see, cars behind just splaying out a little bit down Wellington Straight there, but no actual moves going as we watch Siegmund in that classic Ferrari livery with a massive helmet, it looks like, on Augusto, trying to get the cut back a little bit, I think, as they come out of Brooklands. And see what kind of run he gets as they go down through the wing, and into Abbey. Has a little sniff around, but nothing doing that time by. And it's a little bit wide. See the guys using all of that extra run off tarmac on the exit of turn 1 there, and flying through, don't they, through that first section of the lap.
Yeah, needs to be careful when running wide there. They will pick up a few 1Xs off the circuit, probably. That'll certainly be a 1X, but losing some time there was Rob Bohr, and that's easier placed by. In fact, he's actually got a slow down. And on the second lap, not quite as costly as the first lap, but it can still lose you a lot of time. And Bohr losing plenty of places. He's now down 6 places from his start. And I mean, we don't see a whole lot of overtaking in this race, so it's going to be tough to bring that back. Baha also losing a couple of positions currently. He's down 3 places from his start, down into 14th place now. And Tinkler also going past, so Baha clearly with a bit of a slowdown, and really going to almost a halt. That must be a more serious issue, unless he was just desperate to serve it. Yeah, he must have just picked it up earlier on, went too fast initially, increased the slowdown, and then had to stamp on the brakes just to get rid of it. But I mean, that's the difficulty of the slowdowns, Lee, and I'm sure it's one of the biggest pains as an iRacer, those slowdowns whenever you pick them up.
Yeah, I think it's about as good a solution as you can get for dealing with corner cuts things, though, isn't it? But you're right, it's so frustrating. You know, you drive along, you're seeing it, you know, hanging around 0.1.0 as Augusto has contact with Samborski as they come around the back of the circuit. So let's have a little look and see what happens as they come down the Wellington Straight side by side. Samborski on the inside. Looks like he's got position done, just loses a rear, and Augusto gets collected well and truly at the exit. So unfortunate for the 2 of them there. Augusto the innocent party, as Samborski already got that move made, but yeah, just a tangle with a loss of the rear.
Yeah, that was super unfortunate there for Augusto, as you said. Kind of guilt, some kind of an instant party in all of that. I mean, very wide there is Groom, and almost into the barrier. I mean, he ran wide coming out of Chapel, and really struggled to get back the power down. Obviously, he was on the grass. Pumps really affecting that car, and plenty of drivers having big setbacks so far. It's allowed a few drivers to really rise due to that. Brezina is now at 9 places up into the top 10, so really positive for him. Is Langer going very wide through turn 2. Well, have the inside for 3 at least. This is the battle for second position there. Not too far off the leader. So you don't want to fight too much, otherwise they're going to end their chances of this race win, perhaps. Still side by side. Langer trying to force him out, but that is really good running around the outside there from Herbert. And looks to the inside, late move. Tried to catch out the driver ahead, but it's not good enough, and he stays in third place.
Yeah, as we get a great view of the rear of Langer's car as they head around or past the old pit complex, of course, as they head now towards Cops Corner. We can see Herbano just gaining in a draft, but of course there's no braking zone at all for Cops there, so nothing doing. In fact, he loses a bit through the corner just thanks to that bit of movement on entry. Here we go, nice low view as we go through Maggots, Beckett's Chapel, taking a little bit of curb on all three of the apexes there. And how wide do they run it through Chapel? Not crazy, just a little bit of curb on exit as well. And yeah, nice and clean through there. And Herbano didn't lose too much through the complex, but it's not going to be close enough as they head into Stowe.
Seemed to really gain going down into Cop's Corner, that did Herbano. That could be his setup, or maybe that's just the slipstream effect of this Formula 3.5 car. Do you know what the slipstream effect is like in this, Lee? Because I know it varies quite a lot for the single seaters.
Yeah, I mean, all I've seen of it was the race in Monza, so maybe the downforce levels of things are going to make things quite difficult here compared to what it was there. But there was a good second and a half or so that we could really see the effect, and it was very, very strong in Monza as Herbano drives right around the outside. He's going to have the inside line now for Ireland, and he gets a decent drive off the corner. Oh, he gets a much better drive than Langer behind. So yeah, Herbano gets that position made. Nice outside move around the first right-hander to position himself then for the tighter corner of Ireland. So yeah, Herbano up into second.
Yeah, really well executed move. Has lost about 3 seconds to the race leader, Delisle. So a while to catch up now. But I'm sure he's got the pace potential. It's a decent length race. It's 22 laps around a long circuit like this. It's one of the longest in the F1 calendar. And so he's got time to recover that gap he's lost. You can see how pretty much everyone's still very close to one another. No massive gaps of form. Maybe Karjinen and Brzezina 3 seconds, but that's pretty much the biggest it gets down the entire field. Everyone is still very much grouped together in their own mini battles. And now Almeida next up on the road for maybe even a podium position now. But just receiving a little bit of understeer, maybe through Stowe corners. That turbulent air takes a little bit of an effect. Not too bad usually in iRacing, but still, as these drivers say, evenly matched. It's going to cost him badly as Thomas Knoll into the wall. Doesn't look too bad, that car. Maybe he didn't hit the wall. Maybe he just avoided it down at Stowe. There's plenty of run-up there.
Yeah, just a trip into the gravel, I think, isn't it? So let's see what happens as they come down into Stowe corner, like you say. Position looks good, but the rear steps out, doesn't it, as he turns in. Literally, as he flicks that wheel to the right, the rear just carried on where it was pointed, and did well to gather it up. And as you say, managed to carry on without that damage. Just trailing a nice run of gravel onto the circuit for everyone. As Langer and Almeida battling hard that time. So Langer just struggling maybe to get into a bit of a rhythm at the start of a race. You know, he's lost that position already from Herbano. Now he's under pressure from Almeida. So let's see how long he can hold on for, or whether he can get back into his rhythm. But yeah, Langer there under lots and lots of pressure through the start of his race, and very different lines as they go through Abbey. Looked like Almeida went for a trip up the inside of the curb, and that's just cost him a half second or so.
Quite spectacular to see the drivers racing around the circuit. It's such a wide track that if you're going to the event, you've got to cover acres of space really, and really go way off your racing line. And once again, you can see down the hanger straight, the driver following gains a lot of time with the slipstream, but I think it just seems to have enough. Here we go though, surely side by side coming out of here. Almeida's going to have the opportunity going into Vale, but doesn't fancy like going for it. One of the bigger braking zones, of course, so a decent opportunity at an overtake. But he didn't feel as they had enough of his car alongside to really have a good effort. You can see how actually they're keeping up with Herbano just ahead. He must have just had a poor lap. In fact, Herbano did have a very poor lap, about 2 seconds slower than what he usually is driving. means that the race leader, Delala's got a 5-second lead at this point, absolutely storming away from the rest of these drivers. And this is turning into a bit of a four-way battle. Maybe even Pizzica, who's getting 3 places just in the background there, could get involved. But Siegmund, after fighting Almeida in the early stages on that opening couple of laps, starting to get back interested in this battle once again.
Yeah, and Almeida all over the back of Langer again as they work their way on to the old front straight, of course, out of Woodcote, past the old complex, and just lost out a little bit maybe through the exit of Luffield and Woodcote. But yeah, it was very, very close, certainly, through the previous section. Like I say, it doesn't look like it's going to be much now for Pizzica to get onto the back of him in 6th. He's just closing through the last couple of laps. We can see him in the back of the shot there. He's gained 3 spots from his starting position as Almeida looking to get up alongside Langer as they head back down into Stowe Corner. And Langer moves across to take his line and just didn't allow the space for Almeida, it looks. We'll see from a different angle as well, but it just looked like that he made a bit of a misjudgment on that one.
Yeah, it's a bit of a difficult situation that, of course, because it's not really a straight at the end there. You have a bit of a kink just before Stowe. You see it down this straight, so I think he's just running straight there, not really, I mean, marginal there. I mean, they're starting to use the black and white flag in Formula 1, aren't they? And I think that's precisely what it's designed for. That was aggressive, and if he does it again, maybe deserves maybe a bit more of a punishment.
I think you got it bang on. It was he didn't turn left so much as the track started turning right. So as you say, it was a tricky one. That one 6.5 dozen the other maybe, but for sure Almeida came worse off, slotting in behind Siegmund now. So we'll see if he can get that position back, as back fighting for the last position of the top 10. Rob Bohr makes a move on Morgan as they come out through Luffield and onto Woodcote. I think I mentioned it on the Monza race week 1. I do love Rob's livery that he's got there. That modern art sort of style design to the car stands out very nicely indeed. And yeah, he's moved himself up into that 10th position. Looking at the track map as well, look at 2nd to 8th as they go down towards Copse Corner again. Sorry, down towards Stowe Corner. You just see they're all on top of each other as they squabble away, and that's just allowing Dalal to scamper off into the distance in P1.
Yeah, Dalal's been mega consistent as well with his lap times. Every lap, I look down at my screen, it's a low 40 or a mid 40. This time a 40.67. That's pretty much as slow as he's got, but even on this lap, I think he's going to be faster than everyone behind him. And yeah, that is the case. Langer pretty much matching him, to be fair, on that last lap, but of course he's built up such an advantage, and just being able to run his own lines. Unlike everyone else, he's constantly looking for an overtake or defending into each corner. And he's just being able to run his own race. Delightful for the car number 1. And he can barely see the drivers behind him in his mirrors anymore. Siegmund coming under more pressure from Almeida now, after Almeida had that little bit of an off. And Siegmund having to, well, not having to defend too much on that occasion. Copse Corner, half an opportunity for an overtake. We really do need a good exit from Luffield, I believe it is, the corner prior. And of course, going into Magnets and Beck, it's very difficult to go for an overtake. Here we are with an overtake. Karjinen making up a place past Moric. Or is he just defending that one? No, that is a proper overtake, actually, then for Karjinen. So nicely done, up into the top 7. Already gained 5 places, and actually only about 5 seconds off the podium places, so a little opportunity for him to gain even more, as Brezina as well, a man on a mission. In fact, in that last lap, Brezina was only 0.3 slower than the race leader. So all these guys in the top 10, they're kind of just moving in on one another, as the front runners start to fight more. These guys near the rear are starting to get a little bit more interesting.
Yeah, absolutely. Like I say, Brezina, yeah, it'll be interesting to see if he can make any further positions in this race, having gained 10 spots already from the start. Behind him, Victor Morjan isn't much worse off with 6 positions gained, even though he's lost that spot a few minutes ago to Rob Bohr in that 10th position. So yeah, those two guys have had the strongest starts to the race so far. I was going to call it a Grand Prix then, that may be overstating it just slightly, but yeah, strongest start to the race so far. Almost coming up to halfway through already, aren't we, actually, as we're working our way through lap 10 of 22. And it looks like there's no signs of the battle subsiding from sort of 2nd to 9th, and also from sort of 14th to 17th as well. That's looking pretty tasty on the track map that we can see there as well. So yeah, Thomas Knoll in that 14th, recovering from his spin at Copse Corner earlier on. We'll see how he can pull away still maybe from Nielsen. Their laps last time by were looking pretty good for Knoll, but Andreas Nielsen, yeah, just right on that mark as well. So maybe Nielsen and Knoll that continues to move forward. And Kendall last time by just had a little bit of a tough lap.
Yeah, just dropping back a little bit. It's incredible how evenly matched these drivers are. And that last lap, Nielsen did a 41.7. Remember, he's down in 16th place. Compare that to, say, Almeida in 5th place, who did a 41.6. And so there's really not a massive difference. It's just each one of these drivers have their own little narrative, which has set them back quite a bit. Set them with a long task to get anywhere back near the top 10 places. But of course, they want to finish as high up as they possibly can, improve their iRating. Some drivers care more about that than others, but certainly some drivers really see it as a way, or certainly their personal aim when it comes to these races, to continue to improve on that. And of course, it does really help them when it comes to the special events in particular, to race against the very best in the world. Starting to form a bit of a gap now between Langer and Siegmann. So we saw earlier on Herbenet and Langer fighting so much that they invited Siegmann and Almeida into that battle. But now I think they've started just running a little bit line astern instead, and that gap has started to open up to nearly 3 seconds now.
I had thought, sorry Sam, that Almeida was going to be able to make short work of Siegmann and pull his way onto Langer again, but yeah, it just hasn't happened since his contact, 2-3 laps ago now. So Siegmann is lapping just a couple of tenths off the guys ahead each lap, so really Almeida wants to get that move done if he thinks he's got the pace of the podium cars in front of him. If Siegmann just keeps it consistent, doesn't make any obvious mistakes, so it's going to be tough for Almeida, I think. I think Almeida as well, relatively new to iRacing, I believe. I think I was reading that maybe he only started in iRacing sort of mid-2018, so he's made quite a progress through his different series to get to 5,000 high rating in just sort of a year or 18 months or so. That's quite some progress. So it'd be interesting to see whether we see him continuing to move forward and going into different series in the future. But already he's underneath the gearbox now with Siegmann as I'm talking, looking to make a move up the inside of Village, and backs out of it in the end. Siegmann does well to hold on to that position. How much of a run is Almeida going to get out onto the Wellington Straight?
Certainly looks very good for him. Was able to get on the power maybe a little bit earlier, deep into the slipstream, halfway down the Wellington Straight. He pulls out. Down the inside goes Sulo Almeida, and that is a well-deserved move. Remember, he dropped a couple of places earlier on, really through no fault of his own, with a little bit of a controversial clash with Herbeneau, I believe it was, at Stoke. And now he can set his sights on the drivers ahead. 3 seconds to catch, though. That's going to be a big effort. Going to be difficult to catch by the end of this race. I'm sure he'll give it his best go. This lap 12, of course, of the race, that we are well and truly into the second half of this event. And it's still Tim Delisle leading the way. 6 seconds ahead of Herbenet. Pretty much matching each other now on lap times, but you feel as though Delisle, with not too much pressure, he can just cruise to the end. Langer rounding out the podium places. Almeida, like we've just said, in 4th place. And then it's Siegmann, Pizzaccia, Karjnen, and then he's actually getting into a bit of battle. 7th, 8th, and 9th. Karjnen, Maric, and Brezina. as you see them on your screen, and seemingly a little bit of a teamwork there from or teammates from Moritz and Brezina. So maybe they can use that to their advantage. Certainly, you would expect them not to fight too much whilst they're catching the driver ahead. Just say that though, 0.2 of a second. Certainly, the opportunity for Jan to go for that position. But it seems as though it's always difficult in this situation. Who has the go at the driver ahead, and now they are going side by side, and they do seem to be fighting quite openly.
Yeah, I think a little bit of a lock-up from Moritz into the sharp right hand of him just allowed that to all sort itself out, and Brisner was able to fairly easily get the run down Wellington straight in the end. So that kind of problem solved itself a little bit, and let's see now if Brisner can continue his charge forward and make another spot to make it 12 positions gained from his starting grid. As you say, they're looking pretty strong on Kajinen from the previous laps. So you'd think they'd be looking at getting a move done very soon. There we go. So Kijana dutifully jumps out of the way for them, and those two have gained a position. Kijana had done well to keep out of the wall as well. So yeah, he should be on his way again. Only lost those couple of positions, no damage, still running in 10th place.
He needs to be careful with those tyres as they're probably going to be a little bit overheated. The track temperature, 33 degrees, 22 degrees air temperature. And this is on the 28th of September. And I mean, as two people who live in the UK, we can say that's not too far off, to be fair, with the weather we've been having recently. Of course, one of the things I desperately want on iRacing is to have a much wider range of temperatures. So that we can have proper winter weather here in the UK. I mean, going to Silverstone during January on iRacing, it's still being 18 degrees. Not totally realistic. It'd be great to see it go down to about 5 degrees or so, or even colder, because I mean there are racing events, I believe, which do occur in those types of weather. It would be absolutely fantastic. Maybe even snow being implemented into iRacing. Feels like that's a few years away, but certainly very exciting things on the road for them. Herbino still only 7/10 of a second ahead of Langer. In fact, on that last lap, the top three lap times are separated by 3/100ths of a second. You really do wonder if Herbino and Langer didn't drop back in the early stages, what they could have done to Tim Delisle in the lead. Of course, Delisle might well have half a second up his sleeve on each of these laps, and he's just cruising to the finish. It's quite difficult to tell, but certainly seems as though the top three are all quite evenly matched, and Almeida as well, to be fair. Of course, getting held up by Siegman earlier on. Siegman actually under pressure now from Pizaccia. Pizaccia really quick on that last lap, 0.4 of a second faster. And Siegman getting used to these drivers queuing up behind him. He's got another one to defend against now.
Yeah, absolutely. So last time by, say, 0.4 nearly gained by Simone Ness. So we'll see whether he can get a move done on this Ferrari liveried Formula 3.5 of Siegman. That time by, though, as they crossed the line, it was much more even, to be fair, actually. So yeah, previous lap perhaps a bit of a difference. This time very, very close indeed, just a couple of hundredths in it, as we can see dutifully displayed by Samuli. But then Pizica has a big moment getting on the power out onto Wellington Straight and loses all that good work he's done. At the front, Langer and Herbino squabbling away as they come through the old arena section. Herbino trying to get the drive off of Luffield and onto the old front straight. How much of a run does he get? A little bit of defending going on into Cops. There's no braking zone, so he had to have been alongside for anything to happen there anyway. But that bit of jinking around seems to have done the trick for Langer there, and he's able to just to break away and have a little bit of breathing space from Herbino as they come through Magus Beckers.
Yeah, that'll be very welcome relief for him. Of course, I'll take this opportunity to thank everyone who's tuned in. Great to see so many of you watching along for this race, and hopefully you all are enjoying it. And of course, if you haven't already, please leave a like on the video if you haven't already. And thank you very much. Also, subscribe to the channel, check out our Facebook page, Twitch channel, and Instagram page as well, actually. Here's Langer then, uh, with that overtake.
Yeah, so he got that move pretty cleanly done, didn't he? Lined it up down Wellington Straight nicely, ready to go into Brooklands, and yeah, didn't put up too much of a fight in the end, did Herbino. But he's not dropped straight back. You know, after we saw Herbino get gapped a little bit off of Cops, he's still right there with Langer, just half a second down. So we'll see how these lap times compare. It was a bit of a tough one that time for Herbino, 42 flat compared to a 40.65 for Langer. But he's still looking like he wants to get stuck in and not let Langer just walk away from him. Ooh, issue it looks like there for Kainen in 12th position, so second spin I suspect of the last few laps for him. Or it's going to be same corner again, is it? No, it's going to be Abbey instead of Cops this time. So into Abbey, loses a rear. Exactly the same issue, I think, as Cops, isn't it? You know, they're very similar corners. Rear just steps away from him, sort of mid to entry, and he has to try and gather it back up again, unfortunately for him. So down into 12th position now.
Ooh,
And
and
another
another
spin.
spin for Hone. And it's like what I was saying earlier on, overheating the tires, and all of a sudden it becomes a whole lot more difficult.
Herbino then back up into second. So Herbino's got that position back from Langer. It didn't take him too long at all. As I just spy on Herbino's livery there, a little sneaky SDK Gaming logo on there. So thank you very much for that, Christoph Herbino. Of course, SDK Gaming providing all the overlay display as we see the replay of him going around the outside into Stowe. Brave move to hang on around the outside there. Langer gave him plenty of space. And yeah, nice clean move as he went through the bottom of the circuit there. And Langer very, very squarely on the power in the background, trying to stay with Herbino onto Wellington Straight, but nothing happening that time by.
Fastest lap of the race on that last lap from Herbino, which, considering that he made an overtake, is very impressive. Of course, he didn't lose too much time with that overtake. He just went to the outside and almost took his normal racing line, really leaving barely any space whatsoever for Langer, but it certainly was a clean move. Very impressive, full of confidence, no doubts. Even with these two fighting on media, you can just see him in the background, only being able to maintain that gap at the moment. Doesn't look like he's going to play too much of an influence. Siegmund doing well, actually, to hold back Pizaccia. He was being caught quite rapidly, but just being able to retaliate these past couple of laps, and that gap is maintaining again. So healthy margins between each of these drivers. A decent battle forming between Morhon, Tinkler, and Karjanen currently. It's about 1.2 seconds separating the three of them at the moment. Of course, Karjanen with 3 spins, I think, so he ought to be quite a bit further up the road. So expect him to have a decent chance of overtaking these two drivers ahead. Morhon and Tinkler maybe starts a little bit lower down than he ought to, gaining 7 and 4 places respectively so far in this race. So very competitive drivers, no doubt, and really good straight line speed there for Tinkler. Morhon having to just position his car, make sure that there's absolutely no way for the driver behind to get through. And you see 4th in this line is Omar Baha, who picked up a slowdown in the very early stages, almost came to a halt at this very point in the circuit. So all these drivers have had their issues so far, and they've all managed to gather on the same piece of circuit.
Oh, and here we go again. Herbino and Langer battling away. Langer got the inside line for Brooklands, but then he's hung out to dry as they come round the outside through Luffield onto Woodcote. And yeah, Herbino manages to slot in front again. I think Herbino is going to want to defend as they come to Copso. Indeed, he does, hanging against the old pit wall. Langer jinks to the outside, but he's not going to be far enough alongside. In fact, misses the exits completely, and he's going to have to wait for another opportunity. So good bit of to and fro as the switchback of that old arena complex really enables a good little battle between these two. They haven't really got anyone else to worry about around them for now. You know, Almeida's still 3 seconds back, so they can afford to have a bit of fun squabbling away, just as long as they don't get tangled up. Ooh, these guys can't allow themselves to get tangled up. Those is looking very, very close at the bottom end of the top 10. We see Tinkler and Kaisen in there very, very close through the approach to Maggots and Beckett's. As you were saying, Sam, we expect Kynan perhaps to have a little bit more pace. So is he going to get the run now down Hanger Straight and down in towards Copse Corner? And in fact, yeah, Tinkler doesn't defend at all, and Kynan just drives straight past, gets the line into Stowe, and is already not very far behind on Moran already.
Yeah, so it would be great damage recovery if he could get a top 10 out of this. They're another 10 seconds behind Rob Bohr as well, so absolutely no chance of that one. So 10th place is really as good as these guys could hope for. That's the point system for this. Just kind of depends on how good the other drivers are, the rating system, so it doesn't matter too much each individual position, but of course you want to finish as high up as possible. So this might well be your best result for the entire week. Certainly a fantastic opportunity to really boost your championship points. Moorhon, 2/10 of a second ahead of Carson. Is there going to be a chance for his car in the middle of the circuit, making it very difficult for Carson to go for the move? If he went down the inside there, it would have been an extremely acute angle. Thought better of it, did Hono, but this time he's mega close and through Woodcut. This is going to be easy as you like. Managed to get his car on the inside, not too much defense put up. Still not got the move completely done, but now pulls ahead. Is there an opportunity going into Maggots and Beckett's to get back alongside for the training driver? No, there isn't. And Hone Carson, who's had 3 spins so far in this race, good driving there to make a couple of overtakes back, and you can see how he pulls away through Chapel, and that should be his chances of a P10 certainly rewarded quite significantly.
Yeah, and it's looking very close in the background between Tinkler and Morgan. So Tinkler just trying to get the inside ready for Club Corner. Is he going to be able to hang on to that for 11th and 12th position? It's going to be side by side as they go through that super tight chicane. Nice bit of space left by Tinkler there, and allowing Moran the opportunity still to stay on track. And yeah, nice and clean. Moran's going to be under pressure now from Baha straight away. As they head into Abbey, he's going to have the inside line into Abbey. They try and hang in there, a little bit of contact, and unfortunately, Moran comes the worst off and gets spun off onto the outside. It was a good attempt by everyone there, I think, to give themselves a bit of space, and in the end, Abbey, it's tough to go through that apex side by side, such a high speed corner. Let's see whether it was Baha drifting wide or Moran pinching in a little bit. Do you know what? It was neither really. It was just, you know, the exit of the corner arrived, and there wasn't really much space for anyone to go. So yeah, it was unfortunate there for Moore, and perhaps Baha could have tried to have hung onto the inside a tiny bit more, but let's say tricky on a flat fifth gear right-hander there.
Yeah, definitely putting a lot of faith on Baha there was Mohan. Of course, that's corner's been quite reprofiled by Silverstone since this track scan was done, because this was only done last summer, and it's been resurfaced since then. So that turn one ever so slightly different, a little bit wider now, just for the first bit. So you see, for example, 2017 to 2019 on board with the F1 cars, or 2018 to 2019, in fact. And you see how it's a lot easier flat now. That's a little bit wider, a lot more speed can be carried through. This is a slightly tighter one, as Noel goes side by side, almost contact there. Going side by side with Baha to the outside into Vale. Just trying to get the cut back.
Ooh, problem for Almeida. Dropping down the order is Almeida. I think he has gone from the session. Disconnection, unfortunately for him. So he was running in a nice strong 4th position, and unfortunately now that is going to be him out of the race. Thomas Knoll still battling with Baha, and I think he's going to get the apex into this new arena complex. Some great grandstands around there as well. We can really see a big chunk of the circuit, but in the end, no, Noel can't get the momentum around the outside, and Baha managed to get the drive off the corner and away down Wellington Straight very nicely indeed. Thomas Noel then come back at him, got the inside into Brooklands, and it just shows how powerful the draft is. Looked like Noel dropped back a little bit on the exit of Island, but in the end, yeah, he was able to use all of that toe effect to just pull right up alongside and get a nice clean move into Brooklands. Baha's going to be under pressure very quickly from Nilsson any second as well if these two continue to scoreboard.
Yeah, here comes Nelson. Great run off Cop's corner. Just shows if your momentum is jeopardized a little bit, you're under big pressure for the next corner. Is wide there
Ooh.
onto the grass. And it could have been worse, but it's not great for Omar Baha.
I
And will
think
rejoin back onto the circuit where he left off. So he didn't cut any corners at least, but that was a very difficult situation for him.
Yeah, I think a number of the guys here today are glad of his big runoffs that Silverstone have got. We've seen a number of cars end up in the gravel, but avoid the wall. Slowdown penalty, I think, for Herbano that Samuli's brought up on replay for us. I guess that must have been a slowdown going through Maggots Beckett's, and he's allowed then Langer through on the hanger straight before they got into Stowe corner. So yeah, Langer back up into second, then Herbano down into third, and Herbano spins as well. It's all just falling apart on the final lap. Those rears overheated now. He's trying to get the power off the corner, but he's just struggling down into fourth. So Langer second, Siegmund third, and Herbano going from battling from second is now under pressure from Pitsicca behind to hang on to that fourth position.
Yeah, so Siegman, after really gaining a couple of places, not doing too much himself, certainly has done it all himself, though, has Tim Delisle. He's been the class of the field tonight. Mega consistent lap times, has shown absolutely no vulnerability whatsoever over these 22 laps. He's going to round the final corner and he's going to win week 3 here at Silverstone. Congratulations to Tim Delisle, 10 seconds ahead of the rest of the field. Jose Pledros Langer will be in second place, and Fabian Siegman is going to take a surprising third place. Picked up the pieces from Almeida having a disqualification potentially, and also the issue for Herbano. He does finish in fourth place, but could have been a couple of places higher for him if it weren't for some mistakes near the end. Behind that will be Pizzaccia, Brezina, Moritz, Bohr, Karjanen, and Tinkler will round out the top 10. Pretty much no battles going on right at the end. We've got Bile versus Groom, probably the closest out there, but about half a second between these guys. Mission Winnow on the back of that. And I mean, the Mission Spino memes are absolutely fantastic, I must say. But hopefully he won't fall victim to that, will Cedric. A couple more corners to go, and I think he is going to take that position then. 16 across the line for him. So we should be able to go through the final results then. So I've kind of gone through them a little bit already, but we'll go through them again anyway. Tim Delisle wins out 10.5 seconds ahead of Jose Langer. Fabian Siegman rounds out the podium with Christoph Herbano in fourth place. Then it's Simone Pizzaccia, Jan Brezina, Lubomir Moritz, Rob Bohr, Hone Karjanen, Pete Tinkler rounding out the top 10. Then it was Thomas Knoll, Andreas Nielsen, Ashley Kendall, Victor Morhon, Omar Baha, Cedric Bile, and Luke Groom. Those were the drivers on the lead lap. 2 laps down was Sulo Almeida, and then the retirees were Edward Samborski and Rinaldo Augusto. By the way, I thought Almeida may have got disqualified actually, but he didn't get disqualified. It was a disconnection, as you were saying, Lee. Yeah. Oh, yeah. He's a weird issue. It wasn't like a 3-put fell to an unacceptable level. Oh no, sorry, it was. It was in fact that. So he lost the connection or had a hardware failure, and that was why Almeida fell down the order in those closing stages. Awful luck for him, but hopefully we'll see him back in future weeks. Hopefully we'll have some interviews with drivers, but at the moment that is not the case. So Lee, are we aware of where the next race is going to be in this series?
Oh, do you know what? I should be organised, and I'm not. So one click
Okay,
of the
it's
mouse button,
Sebring.
and I can tell you. There you go.
Yes, it's Sebring for the next one. Certainly very different to Monza, Catalunya, and Silverstone. A little bit more outlandish, but certainly still a cool track.
Yeah, absolutely. So Sebring with these cars, I mean, that sounds pretty tough going, doesn't it? You know, the bumpy circuit with the hard hard, low riding cars that these are. It's not quite the Grand Prix circuits that the guys have been running on so far. Yeah, just talking about the bad luck of Almeida there today as well. He had some tough luck at Monza on week 1 as well when he started from the front row, had contact in lap 1 and had to retire, I believe, on the first lap. So yeah, he's been struggling a little bit on these broadcaster results. Not sure how he got on last week at week 2, but for sure, hopefully he can continue to show his strong pace that he's got as he continues through the rest of the season's broadcasts. We've got a little bit of time left still on the broadcast to go of our booked slot. So perhaps Samuli can bring up the start, and we can have a look at the opening lap for a couple of different drivers. And as you say, if we get an interview or two come in, then we can slot those in as well.
Yes, it'll be great to see kind of what happened on this race start. We saw a little bit of drivers running wide through the first couple of corners. He just did drop down the order. We're just concentrating on a couple of the midfield drivers. Such energy and speed being taken by the drivers going into that turn 1, of course, with cold tyres. It's very difficult, almost 4 wide going into that. But of course, the track's so wide, you can leave yourself a little bit, or you can leave your rivals a little bit of space. It narrows up a little bit. But really good driving on the most part, at least. I don't see too much contact amongst the drivers for those first few corners.
No, it looked. Sorry, Sam. It looked a cracking job, as you say. It's a pretty full field with these high-powered, high-downforce cars, and they're already picking up quite some speed by the time they get to Abbey, aren't they? Even off the line. So there's some commitment there on the cold tyres just to pitch the cars in, and like I say, good clean start from everyone working their way through the slow new arena section. So that was good to see. No retirements, no big incidents in lap 1 at all. We see Luke Groom there just coming under pressure as they go through Cop's corner and trying to hang on as they come through Magus Beckett's, and that is why Samuli has brought him up on the replay. He got absolutely toasted from behind, and big impact. And how did he do by the end? He did finish second to last of the runners. So he obviously then was suffering from some big damage through the rest of the race. That was unfortunate for Groom there. Looked like maybe he had to check up slightly because of the car in front, and that just caught out the car behind, I think. And and again, we really see that accordion effect as the guys slowing themselves down as they came through Club and Vale, but more than just about managing to avoid contact with, I guess that's Baha in front in the yellow car. It was Baha. What a good guess. There he goes, learning liveries already. As almost Baha sends one up the inside of the car in front as well, coming through that section. But like I say, it looked pretty busy there in the opening laps, but pretty clean from most of the drivers that time by, as we see the cars defending further up the track as well as they come down the Wellington Straight. Silverstone circuit, Sam, obviously it's got to be a favourite of ours. It's my local track, 25 minutes away or so. You're talking about the reprofiling of the circuit. It's a real shame, of course, that we've spent all this time waiting for this new version of Silverstone to come out, and it already is out of date.
Yes, I mean, to be fair, with the way that Silverstone going with these tracks resurfacings, I mean, it's going to be out of date in a couple of months anyway. And they've changed it quite a few times, safe to say, but it's still pretty good, and it's certainly a lot better than what we had before. We're still calling the start part of this lap the new section, even though it's a decade old. I'm also very confused why the old circuit is called Silverstone 2011, when obviously they changed the circuit in 2010. So, and they scanned it in 2009. So I've never quite got to the bottom of that. I don't know if there's a decent
email
reason.
to iRacing needed there, I think.
And I mean, I've heard people referring to this as the 2012 circuit. It's like, no, of course not. It's the 2010 circuit when the wing and such were added. And this first part of the circuit, of course, the new Abbey chicane and the couple of hairpins as well. Of course, very welcome additions to this track, and also just the grandstands and the facilities as well really has turned this into, from a club circuit like pretty much any other in the UK, to a proper mega circuit on the international stage. Of course, this place was nearly replaced by Donington Park on the F1 calendar. It's difficult to imagine Donington taking its place nowadays. And that was the incident involving Augusto, where he was very unfortunately taken out by one of the other
But I think that's a different incident, right? So Augusto, I think, then has had twice in the race where a car in front of him loses a rear, and he, as the innocent party, just gets collected by their spin. So yeah, he's had a bit of a tough race out there, I think, today. So unfortunate for Augusto. Good to see him regularly appearing in these 3.5 races. Yeah, I really like the new layout. I'm gonna keep calling it the new layout. I really like the new layout of Silverstone. As you say, grandstands, it's amazing. If you take either the Maggotts Beckett's grandstand, or indeed the new grandstand on that arena section, you have such a view around the rest of the circuit. It's pretty amazing. Abbey, yeah, it's a cracking corner. So it's so fast. I was lucky enough to drive a little radical around there for a day, and Abbey is a daunting corner. But as good as all that is, you don't get to see Bridge anymore. You know, it's such a shame that iconic corner is lost to the new version of the circuit, and of course lost to reality. You know, we're lucky enough in the sim to still be able to jump on Bridge Corner if we want, but not in real life anymore.
Yeah, I guess at least if they wanted to, they could bring it back. At least, I mean, if they
last time I'm
down.
pretty sure, is the tarmac down? I thought they ripped it all up.
Well, there
Maybe
is.
I'm wrong.
Well, they could put some more tarmac down.
Sure,
I mean, they resurface this every year. So, I mean, a little bit of few corners to redo. But, I mean, they use that quite well, of course. I don't know if anyone's ever been to the F1 weekend, but they have a lot of the stuff around that part.
Mm-hmm.
And, of course, it's very easy to walk onto it. It's quite cool to get that perspective because it's never quite what you think on the sim. Of course, it's laser scanned. It's millimeter accurate on the sim, but still you pick up on slightly different things, and it's quite cool to walk on a piece of circuit like that. And yeah, still what it's being replaced by is very good. Of course, now motorbikes can come around here, whereas the old bridge, I think, quite enough runoff area through that Abbey chicane would be a little bit dangerous for that. Certainly, when you see it in real life, you kind of realise how little space there is from the track to the wall right there, and you can certainly understand why bikes were a little bit hesitant to come here prior to the change of the opening part of the lap.
Yeah, no, absolutely. It was a modernisation that was needed, wasn't it? As we're seeing the great battle throughout race between Langer and Herbeno, they really were fighting for long periods of the race, weren't they? So it's unfortunate that it just drifted away a little bit for Herbeno at the end, as Langer had that huge tank slapper that we saw live in the race, I believe. And yeah, those two, it'd be good to see again them fighting away through the rest of the season. I'm enjoying seeing these 3.5s out on broadcast as well, because it just takes me back to the good old iGPS days of seeing people running, you know, classic F1 liveries. What have we seen out there? We saw a Benetton out there, I think, with the I forgot what it was called, the mild sponsor on there. At least a couple of Ferraris as well, wasn't there? So it feels like I've been a while since I've seen these replica F1 liveries on an Apex TV broadcast. That's been nice.
Definitely, and there's some very nice Force India or Racing Point liveries out there. The BWT sponsorship, certainly the pink livery. Personally, absolutely love them. Also, I mean, if you want to ever check them out, just go to the Trading Paints website, and there's loads of liveries that are free to download, of course, which you can run in your own races. Certainly, there's a nice Renault livery, Mercedes, pretty much any car. I mean, you can install a livery for, and they're free to use, many of them, which are absolutely fantastic. Great website, of course, Train Paints, and that's what we use for these broadcasts to keep up to date with all these drivers' liveries. And it is great to see such a colourful grid, certainly. But also, it would be nice to see a few more teams being represented out there as well. It's always great to see in the World GT Championship and of course the Apex Racing League Touring Car Championship, where you've got a swarm of cars all representing the same team. That's a pretty cool aspect as well. So we're going to still no interviews, unfortunately, with Giles. So if anyone's watching this back or watching this live, have a chat with us. We absolutely love having a chat with Giles, and it also helps us for future broadcasts to kind of have an idea of what the drivers are coping with when it comes to tires and different things they have to manage during the race, and also just the characteristics of the car. So certainly do have a chat with us in the future, of course, when we visit Sebring next time round. And just a final word, I guess, Lee, from tonight's race. I mean, it's Barcelona, I watched a little bit of it. Wasn't massively exciting, not going to lie. There wasn't a whole lot of overtaking. But around this place, loads of overtaking. The slipstream effect was quite handy. The drivers seemed to really enjoy this circuit just to practice on and then to race on. And I don't think we were ever short on anything to commentate on.
No, absolutely. It's going to be interesting to see how it goes through the season because, as you say, it seemed to really swing around. Say week 1 at Monza, me and Smuley, I think, absolutely loved commentating that race. It was just absolutely non-stop action-packed the whole time. This week, it didn't quite live up to that, but it was still good and entertaining. We saw plenty of battles, but as you say, I heard that Catalonia was a bit of a snooze fest, unfortunately. But you kind of think that all these 3 weeks are just traditional big Grand Prix circuits, so it's kind of surprising to maybe have such a difference. So we'll see what Sebring brings. I'm sure we're going to see plenty of mistakes just due to the road surface, and it's quite a technical circuit as well. Plenty of those slow medium corners aren't tricky to hit your marks on and to get the curbs how you want. So I dare say we're going to see a number of unforced errors there next week. But for sure, Sebring absolutely can bring good racing. That huge back straight is going to allow these guys to make use of that big toe we've seen in operation here, mainly down a Wellington Straight, but also down Hanger Straight this week. So I'm sure there's going to be some good races there as well. So as you say, I think that can be our broadcast about wrapping up. So thank you guys for tuning into the official iRacing Formula 3.5 Championship. Later on, tomorrow, is going to be the Aussie Mixed and Fixed GT Series. So that is going to be in the morning on Apex Racing TV. Check that out for some cracking GT racing over there. And otherwise, then we shall see everybody for same slot next week at Apex Racing TV for the Formula 3.5 Championship from Sam Fitzpatrick, Lee Thompson, and Samuli Como.